The Galactic Council had been at war with the Void Dominion for nearly 3 centuries. Countless species had been dragged into the conflict, their worlds reduced to ash and memory. The war had reached a stalemate, neither side willing to commit to the decisive blow that might end everything. Captain Talon of the Galactic Council's 7th Fleet stared at the tactical display as another world fell to the Dominion. His scaled skin glistened under the harsh lights of the command bridge. "We've lost the Rigel system," his first officer Vex reported. Her 4 eyes blinked in succession, a sign of her distress. "That's the 3rd system this cycle." Talon's claws clicked against the metal railing. "We need a new strategy." Elder Crow, the wizened diplomat who had served the Council for over 7 decades, shuffled forward. "There is one option we have not yet considered." The bridge fell silent. Everyone knew what he meant. "The humans?" Talon scoffed. "They're primitives. They've barely left their solar system." "Primitives, yes," Crow agreed, his voice like gravel. "But have you studied their history?" Talon hadn't. Few had bothered. Earth was a backwater planet, inhabited by a species that had only achieved spaceflight in the last few centuries. The Council had been observing them, of course, as they did all potential member species. But humans were considered too volatile, too unpredictable for official contact. "Their world has never known true peace," Crow continued. "They'd fight among themselves constantly. Their recorded history is essentially a log of increasingly sophisticated ways to kill each other." "And you think we should invite these barbarians to join our ranks?" Vex asked incredulously. Crow's ancient face cracked into what might have been a smile. "I think we should invite them to join our war." Admiral James Wilson of the United Earth Defense Force stood before the assembled Galactic Council representatives, his weathered face betraying no emotion as the alien diplomats examined him. Behind him stood a delegation of Earth's finest, military strategists, scientists, and political leaders. "Let me be clear," the human said, his voice steady and calm. "You've been watching us for decades, deemed us too dangerous for contact, and now you want our help because you're losing a war." Elder Crow nodded slowly. "That is an accurate assessment." Wilson exchanged glances with General Maria Reed, his second in command. "And what do we get out of this arrangement?" "Full membership in the Council," Talon replied, forcing civility into his tone. "Access to our technology, trade routes, protection." Wilson laughed, a sound that made several Council members flinch. "Protection. From what I understand, you can barely protect yourselves." The Council chamber erupted in angry murmurs. Wilson raised a hand. "But we'll help you. Not for your protection or your technology, though those are nice bonuses. We'll help because these Dominion forces threaten every living being in the galaxy, including Earth. And humans have a long history of taking threats personally." 6 Earth months later, the tide of the war had changed dramatically. The Void Dominion's advance had not just been halted, it had been reversed. 7 systems reclaimed, 3 Dominion fleets destroyed, all because of human tactics that the Council had initially dismissed as insanity. "They're using civilian cargo ships as explosive traps," Vex reported, watching footage of a Dominion dreadnought being torn apart by what appeared to be a merchant vessel. "They call it asymmetric warfare." Talon watched with a mixture of horror and fascination. Their Admiral Wilson threatened to employ something called guerrilla tactics next. "I looked it up in their history. It's barbaric." Elder Crow had been monitoring human communications. "They have a saying, 'War is hell.' It seems they embraced this concept long ago." The comm system chimed, and Wilson's face appeared on screen. He looked tired but satisfied. "Captain Talon, we're ready to move on the Dominion's command hub in the Nexus system. Our intelligence suggests their Supreme Commander is personally overseeing operations there." "You want to attack the Nexus?" Talon's voice rose in disbelief. "It's their most fortified position." Wilson nodded. "Exactly why they won't expect it. The Dominion believes we think like you, cautious, methodical, predictable. We don't." Supreme Commander Draz of the Void Dominion received the reports with growing rage. These humans were unlike any species they had encountered in 3 centuries of warfare. They're attacking with no regard for casualties, his strategist reported. They sacrifice ships to create openings. They deploy ground forces that fight to the last soldier rather than surrender. And their psychological warfare, added his intelligence officer. They broadcast what they call metal music on all frequencies during attacks. The effect on our troops has been demoralizing. Dreas slammed the tentacle against his command console. They are primitives. How are they defeating our superior forces? The answer came minutes later when alarms blared throughout the Nexus command hub. Somehow, human forces had penetrated their defenses. The last transmission Draz sent to his superiors was simple. The humans fight like nothing we have ever seen. They do not fear death. Retreat is our only option. 1 Earth year after humans joined the war, representatives of the Void Dominion signed an unconditional surrender aboard the UES Tenacity. Admiral Wilson stood alongside Captain Talon as the documents were processed. "You saved the galaxy," Talon admitted, still uncomfortable with how quickly and brutally humans had ended a centuries-long conflict. Wilson shook his head. "We just did what we've always done. Fight like our survival depends on it, because it usually does." Later, at the victory celebration, Elder Crow approached Wilson. "Other species will fear humanity now," the ancient diplomat warned. "They've seen what you're capable of." Wilson took a sip of his drink, his eyes surveying the room full of alien diplomats who kept a noticeable distance from the human delegation. "Good," he said simply. "Fear kept us alive on Earth for thousands of years. Maybe it will keep the peace up here too." The message spread quickly through the galaxy. When humans joined the war, everyone cowered in fear. And now that the war was over, no one was eager to give them a reason to fight again.